Westerley VR race number 3.6, that's series 3, race number 6 in a series of 13, is 4 laps of the rather wonderful Regents Park in the centre of London. And as you can see, it's quite often frequented by cyclists, people who perhaps work here and go out for a lunchtime ride. And I know, I do know of little groups of celebrities who use this as a cycling route. It's basically a loop of 4.4 kilometres. I mean, it's dead flat. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Traffic's not too bad. Unfortunately, it has a couple of traffic lights, so there are pauses. But if you come down here, particularly at lunchtimes, early evenings, things like that, there are quite a few cyclists whizzing around doing laps of Regents Park. As I say, it's got the traffic lights, so it's not quite as good as Richmond Park, south of the river, which, on the other hand, is overcrowded with cyclists. But Regents Park, very well to do. And as we can see, it's got a number of landmarks in it. And just on your right there, you can see the Regents Park Mosque. I don't know where that ranks in mosques in the UK, but it's certainly one of the most prestigious. And it's certainly a beautiful building, no doubt about that. As I say, the park is quite a nice place. The park is actually on the left. So you see the buildings on the right and the park is on the left. But you will see some buildings on the left inside what is the park. Most notably London Zoo, which we shall be going past. Watch out in case a giraffe leans out in front of you. But I don't think any animals escaped during the recording of this. So, as I say, it's a little bit of a hunting ground for cyclists, particularly those who work in central London and maybe want to get out and do a few kilometres during their lunch break. And as I say, dead flat, so not a lot really to describe tactically. You'll be doing 4 laps in the RGT race, and as I say, it's dead flat, so there's no obvious places to attack. This is going to be a sprint finish as far as we can tell. Maybe the group will split into 2, but as I say, even if it doesn't, I think there's going to be a mass bunch sprint finish. So we like to mix up the Westerley VR races, and some will be dead flat like this, deliberately designed to test you out in the sprint. Others will have little hills at the end, some in the middle, and some at the start. So they're all slightly different to mix up the series. 13 races, but this is the dead pan flat crit one. Now you can see the buildings there are quite sort of themed. A lot of the buildings around this park are themed like that. I'm not an expert on architecture, so I can't tell you exactly what they are. Regents Park, a regent or a prince regent is usually the heir to the throne. So in current UK, Prince Charles, I suppose, would be the Prince Regent. The most famous Prince Regent, and often when you hear of architects or antiques dealers talking about Regency pieces, they're referring to King George IV. He was son of King George III, and certainly our American cousins will be aware of King George III because I believe it was him that was very instrumental in not helping us retain the United States. Well, it wasn't the United States in those days, but the Americas as a British territory. King George III, of course, suffered madness, and there was a long wait, I believe, for King George IV to take the throne. So he is, as I understand it, the most well-known Prince Regent, and gives the name Regency furniture, Regency architecture, and things like that. Accordingly, because it's during his times, I believe. As I say, I don't profess to be an expert on either antiques or architecture, but you can see this is nicely kept, and up until the mid-1600s this was part of a wider hunting ground owned by the kings and queens of England in those days, and essentially I think in the mid-1600s was turned into a park, and I think even then it was very much for a gentrified area, not to let everybody in, and gradually became a public park, and is now still a royal park. So there's a number of royal parks. They're effectively owned by the Crown. I don't know all of them, but Richmond Park is certainly one. This is one. Hyde Park's one. I suspect Kensington Gardens must be. And of course, right out to Windsor Great Park. So you get these parks that are owned by the Crown, of which, as I say, Regents Park is one. So we carry on going round, and you can see that it's nicely coordinated architecture, so that the place has this sort of sense of both grandeur and elegance, I would say. So coming around, I can't give you any tactical insight into this course. It's as I say, it's dead flat, as you can see, and it's let's say 4 laps of a circle, the circle being the park in the middle. Home to the London Zoo, and I believe I don't know. I think the Royal Botanical Society or something might be there as well, or used to be there. But certainly London Zoo is the most famous occupant of the land inside. Most of the rest of it is grass and flower beds, and nicely kept it is too. I mean, I've certainly been kicked out of there by the police for kicking a football around on their nicely manicured lawns in my younger days, of course. So, as I say, London Zoo is probably not quite the attraction it once was. The London Zoological Society also owned Whipsnade Zoo up near Dunstable, which they put the animals in much bigger fields rather than cages, and I think a lot of the species are better suited to the wide open modern thinking. So I think London Zoo doesn't quite have the range of animals it might have had 50 years ago, because people are sort of generally kinder to the animals. We are coming up to the zoo side of things, so we're on the zoo side, and basically the end of the race will, as I say, come just probably past the zoo, but where we started really, because I'm only going to show you one lap in this. 4.4k per lap, and it's 4 laps. So you're looking at 17.2 kilometres of racing. The zoo just to our left, you can see the buildings inside there. So, and that's it. It's it's a proper inner city crit race, because we are in the heart of the centre of London here, really in the West End. And let's say the zoo building is on the left, you can just about see through the trees. I don't think you're going to see elephants and giraffes peering out at you, and if a monkey jumps on your bike, you've got a problem. There's the entrance to the zoo. Let's say I think it's probably better for looking at I don't think things like snakes and spiders, I would imagine. I really don't know what's in there. I haven't been there for a long time. But of course, it's not just a place for caged animals. They do research and things like that. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than just caging up animals for us to stare at. So say once past the zoo, when we start seeing the park railings, which is about there, we are coming up to the final stretch. We're going to finish just where there's a little right turn that takes you northwards up into Swiss Cottage and places like that. As I say, the video will end there, but you'll go on and you'll pass that 4 times, and the 4th time you will have passed the finishing line. Good luck on the day. Westerly VR Race 2.5, Ronde van Regents Park, a tour of Regents Park. As I say, you're in good company. Lots of cyclists love this little route and its laps. See you soon.